February 3rd, 2016. Tokyo. Park Chae-hun, an assistant professor at a Tokyo university, was arrested. His charge? Espionage. Chae-hun wasn't just accused of spying, he was allegedly working as an agent for North Korea, operating right in the heart of Japan's capital. But what made the case truly disturbing was what came out next. He wasn't a lone operator. He belonged to the Zainichi Chongryon community in Japan, the same community that openly venerates Kim Jong-un, the same people who refer to North Korea as our country. And here's where it gets even stranger. They were born in Japan, a country that officially considers North Korea one of its greatest enemies. Their ancestors came from South Korea, another nation that views North Korea as an existential threat. Yet despite this, they follow maps where South Korea doesn't exist as a separate country. They read textbooks that describe Pyongyang as the most beautiful city in the world. Their school uniforms aren't Japanese or Korean, they're traditional North Korean attire. So the question is unavoidable. Why does this community feel such deep loyalty to North Korea? And more importantly, why has Japan allowed it to continue for so long? Welcome to the Sleuthing Scams, and today we will be talking about the dark equation between Japan and North Korea. It takes a lot of effort, time and heart to make these videos for you, so kindly hit that subscribe button along with the bell icon. Japan is often seen as a model nation, a culture studied around the world, a symbol of peace, cleanliness, discipline, and innovation. It's a country many look up to with admiration. But beneath that image lies a past soaked in blood and brutality. To understand this story, we need to go back to the early 20th century. From 1910 to 1945, Korea was a colony of Japan, and this wasn't just political control, it was cultural erasure. Names were changed, language was suppressed, identity was stripped away. By the 1930s, Japan had become a full-scale war machine. Its hunger for power and expansion was unmatched. In 1931, it occupied Manchuria, then China, then much of the Pacific. But this period marked the darkest chapter for Koreans. Instead of benefiting from Japan's imperial expansion, Koreans suffered even more brutality than the territories Japan conquered. The prolonged wars exhausted Japanese soldiers, and to maintain morale, Japan introduced so-called comfort stations, brothels. Korean women, already crushed under occupation, were forced into them. Korean men were conscripted and sent to fight wars that were never theirs. And when the war ended, things didn't improve. Koreans in Japan were no longer seen as useful. They were labelled a liability. The term Zainichi was used, meaning temporary residence. Then came systematic persecution. In December 1945, Zainichi Koreans were stripped of their voting rights. In 1947, Japan passed the Alien Registration Law, turning Koreans overnight into foreigners in a country many had been born in. They now lived with constant fear. At any moment, Japan could deport them. Public sector jobs were closed to them. Equal wages were denied. Koreans were often paid half of what Japanese workers earned. Left with no options, many were pushed into odd jobs, scrap work, smuggling, underground trades. These were the same people who had fought for Japan. Now they were among the most persecuted. The final blow came in 1950 with the nationality law. Only children with Japanese fathers could become citizens. If your father was Zainichi, you were excluded. At this point, the pain wasn't just social, it was existential. Zainichi Koreans faced two bleak choices: Japan, which refused to accept them, or South Korea, a nation devastated by war and poverty. Then a third option appeared: North Korea. Kim Il-sung played a masterstroke. He called on Zainichi Koreans to return home. He declared North Korea their true homeland and promised them dignity, prosperity, and a socialist future.
The idea that Zainichi Koreans would live far better lives if they abandoned Japan and resettled in North Korea.
It was a calculated geopolitical move. First, he gave them something they had been denied their entire lives: identity. He told them Korea was theirs. Then came the second card: money. When Chongryon schools in Japan were struggling, Kim Il-sung sent massive financial support, including a donation of 1 million yen.
Pyongyang saved them with a $1 million donation in 1957.
And while Japan remained largely silent, he played his third card, an aggressive anti-Japan narrative. This strategy became a turning point, one that North Korea still benefits from, and Japan still pays for. These schools ended up producing some of Japan's fiercest enemies right inside Japan. Children don't choose ideology, they inherit conditioning. School becomes truth, rituals become reality. When a child bows before a portrait of Kim Il-sung, it's not about power, it's about belonging. It feels like home. And identity is one of the most powerful forces a human can experience. The human brain isn't designed to chase truth. It's designed to protect identity. With identity comes belonging. With belonging comes safety. And when those three align, logic quietly shuts off. History is full of this pattern. Hitler used racial identity. Genghis Khan exploited tribal identity. Stalin weaponized class identity. Even today, despite Japan and North Korea having no embassies and hostile relations, Chongryon schools remain one of North Korea's most effective tools inside Japan. In 2003, a North Korean defector testified before the US Senate that nearly 90% of North Korea's missile components were smuggled via Chongryon-affiliated passengers from Japan. In 2013, a senior Japanese official was arrested on espionage charges. In 2017, 6 Korean scientists were charged with spying in Japan. They have also assisted North Korea kidnap Japanese citizens. Some reports even claim that during the 1990s, Zainichi Chongryon groups earned more from pachinko parlors alone than Japan's entire car industry. And much of this happened in plain sight. So the question remains, why does Japan stay silent? The answer is one word: democracy. Democracy is one of humanity's greatest achievements. But it has a downside. It cannot operate through suppression. It runs on rights-first principles. That's why Japan uses policy levers instead of outright bans, subsidies, surveillance, diplomatic pressure. Democracy is a double-edged sword. The same freedoms that protect citizens can also give space to hostile forces. Democracy limits the power of the state, not the people. That's why life isn't easy for Zainichi Chongryon families in Japan. Children from these schools often change their uniforms before leaving campus every day, just to stay safe. In 2009, right-wing groups gathered outside a Korean elementary school in Kyoto. They hurled abuse at children, tried to force their way inside, and shouted slogans like "North Koreans are cockroaches." Some even called the children spies. That incident forced the Japanese government to pass anti-hate speech laws. And even today, security guards still escort children home. This is the cost of history, identity, and democracy colliding in the same place. And this is where the story comes full circle. This isn't a story with heroes or villains neatly defined. It's a warning that unresolved history doesn't disappear. It mutates. That oppression leaves behind echoes that last longer than wars. And that democracy, while powerful, is fragile when faced with narratives built on pain, pride, and belonging. Because when identity becomes a battleground, truth is always the first casualty. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon.